Hey everyone, Ilya here, and this time I'm going to talk to you about lights in closed maps, lights in city maps, with a pair of examples. It's a pretty tricky thing, you know, because like light in an open map, it's generally quite easy once you learn how to do that. Well, that's not difficult anymore, but if you're in a city map, you do get lost sometimes, and I don't mean situations where you are completely top tier, there are tanks 2 tier lower. No, that's not interesting. I really mean situations where your tank is really underpowered comparing to everyone around. Just like this situation, just look at the setups. There are so many heavies, some TDs, and like my gun is like close to nothing. So there are very few things that you can do about it. Of course you can track enemies, and that is what you should do most of the time. That is a very effective thing, and catching some enemy in the open, in front of your allies, that's probably the best thing that you can do. Yes, Kranvang? Okay, let's just notice that Kranvang has just used his repair kit. And it's really important, because if you know that someone doesn't have a repair kit, that should be your priority target. Yes, Kranvang? Oh yeah. Boom. And goodbye. Yeah, I think it was really lovely here. So when you are kinda underpowered in closed or a city map, unfortunately there is not much that you can do apart from this. You see, you are one of 15 tanks, but when you get to more open map, like probably like half of the maps, actually there are quite many maps where light can be effective, but when you get to a map like this, you are just one of the 15, and you are not the strongest one of the 15. And you really feel that a lot. So if you deal damage in the amount of your own HP, maybe a bit more, it's already kinda okay. But if you have a chance to track enemies, not just random enemies, not deep in the enemy territory, but you know, in front of your allies, if you can approach enemy from the side, which is not applicable for this map, then of course you can be a lot more effective, because tracked enemy is exposed to your team, like it happened with Kranvang, and tracked enemy, you know, won't be able to fall back behind cover. So the best moment that you can track enemy at is just after the enemy unloads, because, you know, when the enemy tank unloads, he starts to fall back, and your teammates, they drive out, you know, to shoot him before he hides, because that's how heavies usually side scrape and all. And it's that moment at which you really have to track the enemy tank, and sometimes even if the enemy has a repair kit, that gives that little half a second before he fixes for your teammates to actually hit that enemy. Now that does make a difference. Even if your teammates outnumber certain enemy, it's still a good idea to track that enemy, because that will help your teammates to kill that enemy quicker, because, you know, the enemy will fire, the enemy will roll back behind cover, it will take time, the enemy will make more shots at your teammates, and if you just lock the enemy in place, then your teammates can just kill him right away, which means that the enemy will make fewer shots, and that your team will win the flank quicker, and maybe they will, you know, get back to their base in time or push forward quicker. It's a lot of very indirect advantages, but you get assistance for it, so I guess that's what counts as well. And well, you help as best as you can, because we're not really talking about damaging. Imagine you are in some LTTB and there are like T-54 and Object 140 you are fighting with. There is not much you'll do to them. But yeah, keep tracking them, and well, if that doesn't work, there is just nothing you can do. You're one of the 15 after all, the weakest one of the 15, and you just have to accept it. It happens. The battles with like 4 shots of damage in a light in city maps, that does happen, unfortunately, and there is nothing you can do about it. It's very frustrating, but at least using these techniques, you can kind of maximize your efficiency. You can have fewer battles like that. So now let's move to Stalingrad, and you can see right away that I'm going to the heavy flank. Thing is, it's possible to play light on a heavy flank, but you need to know a few things before you do that. First of all, it's better not to go to the heavy flank if there are many heavies or tank destroyers that play there. You know, like Jagdpanzer, like Tortoise. The thing is that out of all your advantages that the tank has, you can't use camo, you can't use view range because they're just not applicable here. You have only rate of fire, so you have small alpha, which is also a problem. but maybe you could keep someone tracked, and you have mobility. And we will try to use mobility here. The point is in staying invisible as much as possible, and then suddenly driving out at the side of the enemy. So you see I'm not going together with my heavies, and then shooting someone's side or track. And if there are a lot of enemy heavy tanks or tank destroyers, it's very unlikely that nobody will be watching at the direction that you're driving out at. So if there are like 8 tanks in Pilsen, you know, 8 heavies versus 8 heavies, there is almost no chance that you drive out to someone's side and there is like, and you don't get hit from someone. And you know, if you're a bottom tier and there are tanks, heavy tanks, a tier or 2 tiers higher than you will probably lose half of your HP at best in an instant without doing much, because you know, you will get back to cover before someone else shoots you. So the idea is, yep, to get to the side of the enemy, not to be in front of your own heavies, because heavies fight face to face and you don't want to be hit. You're kind of next to the heavies and you just look for an opportunity to suddenly drive out, so you need to stay invisible. And, well, in my case, damage enemy. Another little important point is that even though you are one of the quickest tanks on the battlefield, it doesn't mean you have to go somewhere first. Don't rush anywhere, because you never know who's going to be behind the corner. You don't know how many tanks there are. Maybe there are like 4 mediums waiting for you, maybe there is some heavy, there is a TD. You never know that. Maybe there are other lights and you will just, you know, shoot one another, and 2 lights fighting one another, that's the most stupid thing that can happen, because everyone just loses HP, a lot of HP, and deal very little of damage. There is no point in wasting so much HP for that. So try to be on this second line. There is kinda one of your teammates or 2 of your teammates in front of you, or you're just somewhere safe. Because try to stay invisible as much as possible. Don't just fight with others whenever you can. And well, that should prevent you from dying very early in the game. So if this was helpful, then eat an apple because it's healthy. See you soon, guys.